All right, disclaimer. It's going to be a long little video and I'm going to be talking a lot. So if you don't want to sit and listen to the whole thing, just click this. This will take you directly to, what's this? What am I on now? Part 5. All right, if you're still here, I'm assuming that you want to just hear me rant a little bit. Buckle up, because I'll be talking. Man, so for this next list, I got to start off with Sylvan LaCue. His song Best Me, when I found that, I had to have been like, I don't know, late teens, early 20s. I had to have been like 21, 22. But it really just spoke to me. Like it was one of those songs that just kind of found me at a particular time in my life. And I feel like everybody has music like that, where, it'll just kind of like pop up in your sphere somewhere, like when you need it the most, or when it's most when it really truly fits with what's happening in your life. Like I feel like that's what that Best Me track is for me with Sylvan LaCure. Like his whole, pretty much like a lot of his catalog is like that for me. And if I had to give you another song, I mean, I can't even give you one song. Like we're talking about Beyonce at this point. Like, I feel like everybody is, at least, I don't want to overly generalize because we all have different life experiences and we all have different upbringings and our parents listen to different music, but I feel like a majority of black people have come up on Beyonce in some way, shape, or form, and I feel like you're lying low key if you say that you haven't. If I had to pick a song for me, it would be well, my mom, she was really heavy on Love on Top, and I kind of loved it because she loved it and was playing it so much. Like it was just a great song, like the melodies. I mean, Beyonce is Beyonce. Like she, like the way she's, like her voice, her, just everything. Like it's Beyonce. Like what else? I don't really need to say anything else other than that sentence. um, but Love on Top was my mom's favorite, and for me, it was funny. As a kid, I kind of gravitated towards if I was a boy, even though I am a boy. I couldn't tell you what really made me love that song, but I think I just loved like the intimate like energy behind it. Like it was so unlike anything else that I was hearing at that time and that I was listening to. That song and Halo. And then, I like Party too. That what is it? That song she did with her and Andre 3000 was fire. But nah, yeah, it's funny. Like those, I think Beyonce is a really, she's, I don't know. I wouldn't say she's foundational to like my music taste, but she played a big role in some of the music that I was listening to at an early age. Like Beyonce was heavy in my household. Like, I mean, I think I said this before, but I grew up in a family, or maybe I haven't, but I grew up in a family full of all women for the most part. You know, my dad, he kind of dipped out when I was younger. So, and then he came back when I was later in my teens, but I mean, for the most part, I was raised around women. My grandfather was there. Glad that he was there because I wouldn't have known how to be a man if it wasn't for somebody being able to teach me how to do that. But, I had my grandfather, my uncle, stepfather at some point in there, but for the most part, majority women. So a lot of the music that I grew up listening to and a lot of experiences that I grew up like understanding and hearing about really kind of come from a woman's point of view or a woman's perspective. And it's probably why I'm able to get along so well with women now, and I'm able to understand them in the way that I do. It's, I mean, little life flex, but it's probably why women fall in love with me so easy. It's not even intentional. I just be talking, and then all of a sudden, no shit, she's in love, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know what to do with that. But yeah, nah, it's crazy. So yeah, I think a lot of like that. That's why I know about the Mariah Careys. That's why I know about the Fantasias and uh, I'm trying to think. Um, the Angie Stones, the neo soul artists. Like that's why I have that in me. I said this before, but it's been real interesting, doing this list and kind of scraping every crevice of my being to put this list together. You know, it it's it's kind of funny because I get to see, like, in a physical form, like all the different aspects of me, like all the different aspects of my personality, and it's like I'm kind of diving into different worlds, or not different worlds, but different. I mean, maybe I am diving into different worlds a little bit, or different frequencies consistently. I'm kind of like tuning in and out of different frequencies, like a radio station. It's kind of dope because I mean, a little more about me, I guess. I mean, I come from Stockton. I was born and raised in Stockton, California, for the most part, and Stockton is. I grew up on the south side, and then a little bit on the east side, but I don't know. I mean, if I had to pick a side that I really, really grew up on, like, my family's from the South Side, and I guess I felt like I was more accepted on the South Side, or I had a better experience while living on the South Side, sort of, kind of. So I would probably claim South Side if anything. But, you know, living in that city, it's a rough city. It's got its own problems and its own issues. I mean, it's getting better now from what I've seen, but that's beside the point. Regardless, the area that I was growing up in was like crazy hood. You know what I mean? And I moved out there after living in Campbell for like 2 or 3 years, going to this like super white, like middle class school. So it was like a culture shock for me. And it was, so it's like, it's funny how that influence is seen throughout this list. It's like, even with the Memphis, what is it? That Memphis part of my list. Like, you can tell, like, that shit all comes from the South Side of Stockton, and being around my cousins and being in those environments. Like, the LA part of my list, the YGs, the BPT, the My Crazy Life, all that shit comes from living in Stockton. It comes from being around my cousins on Nightingale and just being in that area, being in that environment. Like, it's really dope, for me to kind of like really tune in, because like I said, I see a whole bunch of different aspects of myself on this list, and I really like that. I mean, I've always known that I'm multifaceted, but I like being able to like just see it in a physical form. So, you know, embrace the entirety of your being. You know, don't run from yourself. Um, Growing up, I feel like I've had issues like finding places where I can truly feel comfortable to be my true self, to fully be myself. I think a lot of that is really because of where I come from, and some of my childhood experiences. If you want to hear about my childhood experiences, go to my SoundCloud and look at my singles list. It's all there. But yeah, nah, there's some. I think it's a mixture of the reality of being from a city like Stockton, or being from a place that is a little rougher than your average city, I would say, and then moving then into a different environment, that where a lot of the things, attitudes, mindsets, they're just not the same, and it's a little different, and it's not necessarily as tough as what you come from. So because of that, I feel like, it's, if I had to give you an analogy, it's like being, I mean, I guess I could just use my life. It's like, being the hood kid and moving out of the hood and trying to go to school in in the like upper, more influential, more like affluent part of town, the higher middle class. So it's like, what's that TV show? It's like American, with Daniel Ezra and Tay Diggs. It's that story, pretty much. And it's just, I've had issues finding places that just kind of exist. At least that's how I felt. But as I've grown, I think, you grow, you unlearn things, you learn new things, you kind of realize the the effect that your environment has had on you, and what how it's driven you to act, and even even though you were unaware of that, like how it's driven you to kind of move and exist in the world, and you start to find a way to kind of to feel comfortable in spaces and be your authentic self. But it's all just a tweaking. It's all tweaking this and tweaking that and dropping this and picking up that. But I guess really what I really want to say is just don't be afraid to embrace the entirety of your being, because when it's all said and done, that's where true fulfillment and happiness lies, I believe. If you can't embrace who you are fully and entirely, then you'll never experience the joy of being accepted for the entirety of who you are. You'll never be able to find somebody, anybody who will truly see you and even relate to you, because you're too busy trying to tailor like your persona to fit whatever it is that you believe you need to be in order to exist in that environment. So, yeah, don't run from yourself, embrace the entirety of yourself. And I know that's hard. I mean, I'm 29. I didn't even, I was at 18, 19, I was a completely different person. I was a completely different kid. I had a whole lot of unhealed trauma at that point in my life. I had a whole lot of things that I still had to go through. I had to literally I had to break and then rebuild in order for me to get to this point. So, regardless of where you're at in your life and what age you are, regardless of any of that, it's never too late to embrace the entirety of yourself and be accepted for that, and experience the joy that goes along with just being you.